All right, hello everybody. Want to wish everybody blessings on this day. There's snow coming down here in Xenia, Ohio, and there's some thoughts to be put towards that. But beyond that, I want to give a small prayer for all of us who are trying to figure out what to do with ourselves when we see that this world is changing and the advances seems to put us into a destitution and such. I want to let you know that it is possible for us to have purpose even in today's age. Purpose with our life and with our energy and with our love. To the Most High, to Jah, I ask, help us to know what to do with ourselves, with our digital lives, the virtual reality, as well as this physical one, where we feel that we're lacking control, lacking purpose. Help us to reach out to one another, enlighten life and love, to touch each other heart to heart, so that we can begin the new direction in this world. It only comes together when we begin collaborating, begin looking each other in the eye, and know that there is worth in yourself and in the other. Thank you for joining. My name is Joseph Shepard. I will be beginning in section 5 of the Urantia book, and we're on paper 55, the spheres of light and life. Section 5 is titled The Acme of Material Development. Mortal creatures living on a sin-stricken, evil-dominated, self-seeking, and isolated world, such as Urantia, or Earth, can hardly conceive of the physical perfection, the intellectual attainment, and the spiritual development which characterize these advanced epochs of evolution on a sinless sphere. The advanced stages of a world settled in light and life represents the acme of evolutionary material development. On these cultured worlds, gone are the idleness and frictions of the earlier primitive ages. Poverty and social inequality have all but vanished. Degeneracy has disappeared, and delinquency is rarely observed. Insanity has practically ceased to exist, and feeble-mindedness is a rarity. The economic, social, and administrative status of these worlds is of a high and perfected order. Science, art, and industry flourish, and society is a smoothly working mechanism of high material, intellectual, and cultural achievement. Industry has been largely diverted to serving the higher aims of such a superb civilization. The economic life of such a world has become ethical. War has become a matter of history, and there are no more armies or police forces. Government is gradually disappearing. Self-control is slowly rendering laws of human enactment obsolete. The extent of civil government and statutory regulation in an intermediate state of advancing civilization is in inverse proportion to the mortality and spirituality of citizenship. Schools are vastly improved and are devoted to the training of the mind and the expansion of the soul. The art centers are exquisite and the musical organizations superb. The temples of worship with their associated schools of philosophy and experiential religion are creations of beauty and grandeur. The open-air arenas of worship assembly are equally sublime in the simplicity of their artistic appointment. The provisions for competitive play, humor, and other phases of personal and group achievements are ample and appropriate. A special feature of the competitive achievements on such a highly cultured world concerns the efforts of individuals and groups to excel in the sciences and philosophies of cosmology. Literature and oratory flourish, and language is so improved as to be symbolic of concepts as well as to be expressive of ideas. Life is refreshingly simple. Man has at last, coordinated a high state of mechanical development with an inspiring intellectual attainment, and has overshadowed both with an exquisite spiritual achievement. And the pursuit of happiness is an experience of joy and satisfaction. Now, the section 6 here, titled The Individual Mortal. As worlds advance in the settled status of light and life, society has become increasingly peaceful. The individual, while no less independent and devoted to his family, has become more altruistic and fraternal. On Urantia, as you are, you can have little appreciation of the advanced status and progressive nature of this enlightened race of these perfected worlds. These people are the flowering of the evolutionary races, but such beings are still mortal. They continue to breathe, eat, sleep, and drink. This great evolution is not heaven, but it is a sublime foreshadowing of the divine roads of the paradise ascent. On a normal world, the biologic fitness of the mortal race was long since brought up to a high level during the post-Adamic epochs, and now, from age to age, throughout the settled eras, the physical evolution of man continues. Both vision and hearing are extended. By now, the population has become stationary in numbers. Reproduction is regulated in accordance with planetary requirements and innate hereditary endowments. The mortals on a planet during this age are divided into from 5 to 10 groups, and the lower groups are permitted to produce only one half as many children as the higher. The continued improvement of such a magnificent race throughout the era of light and life is largely a matter of the selective reproduction of these racial strains which exhibit superior qualities of a social, philosophic, cosmic, and spiritual nature. The adjusters continue to come as in the former evolutionary eras, and as the epochs pass, these mortals are increasingly able to commune with the indwelling father fragment. During the embryonic and pre-spiritual stages of development, the adjutant mind spirits are still functioning. The Holy Spirit and the ministry of angels are even more effective as the successive epochs of settled life are experienced. In the fourth stage of light and life, the advanced mortals seem to experience considerable conscious contact with the spirit presence of the master spirit of the super-universe jurisdiction, while the philosophy of such a world is focused upon the attempt to comprehend the new revelations of God the Supreme. More than one half of the human inhabitants on planets of this advanced status experience translation to the Morontia state from among the living. Even so, old things are passing away, and behold, all things are becoming new. We conceive that physical evolution will have attained its full development by the end of the fifth epoch of the light and life era. We observe that the upper limits of spiritual development associated with evolving human minds are diffusion levels of conjoint Morontia values and cosmic meanings. But concerning wisdom, while we do not really know, we conjecture that there can never be a limit to intellectual evolution and the attainment of wisdom. On a seventh stage world, wisdom can exhaust the material potentials, enter upon moda insight, and eventually even taste of absinthe grandeur. We observe that on these highly evolved and long seventh stage worlds, human beings fully learn the local universe language before they are translated. And I have visited very few of these old planets where abdonators were teaching the older mortals the tongue of the superuniverse. And on these worlds, I have observed the technique whereby the Absonite personalities revealed the presence of the Finaliters in the Morontia Temple. This is the story of the magnificent goal of mortal striving on the evolutionary worlds, and it all takes place even before human beings entered upon their Morontia careers. All of this splendid development is attainable by material mortals on the inhabited worlds, the very first stage of that endless and incomprehensible career of paradise ascension and divinity attainment. But can you possibly imagine what sort of evolutionary mortals are now coming up from the worlds long existing in the seventh epoch of settled light and life? It is such as these who go on to the Morontia worlds of the local universe capital to begin their ascension careers. If the mortals of distraught Urantia could only view one of these more advanced worlds, long settled in light and life, they would never more question the wisdom of the evolutionary scheme of creation. Were there no future of eternal creature progression, still the superb evolutionary attainments of the mortal races on such settled worlds of perfected achievement would amply justify man's creation on the worlds of time and space. We often ponder, if the grand universe should be settled in light and life, would the ascending exquisite mortals still be destined to the corpse of finality? But we do not know. Section number 7. The first or planetary stage. This epoch extends from the appearance of the Morontia Temple at the new planetary headquarters to the time of the settling of the entire system in light and life. This age is inaugurated by the Trinity Teacher Sons at the close of their successive world missions, when the planetary prince is elevated to the status of planetary sovereign by the mandate and personal presence of the paradise bestowed son of that sphere. Concomitant therewith, the Finaliters inaugurate their active participation in planetary affairs. To outward and visible appearance, the actual rulers or directors of such a world settled in light and life are the material son and daughters, the planetary Adam and Eves. The Finaliters are invisible, as also is the Prince Sovereign, except when in the Morontia Temple. The actual and literal heads of the planetary regime are therefore the material sons and daughters. It is this knowledge of these arrangements that has given prestige to the idea of kings and queens throughout the universe realms. And kings and queens are a great success under these ideal circumstances, when a world can command such high personalities to act in behalf of still higher but invisible rulers. When such an era is attained on your world, no doubt Machiavinta Melchizedek, now the vice-regent planetary prince of Urantia, will occupy the seat of the planetary sovereign, and it has long been conjectured on Jerusalem that he will be accompanied by a son and daughter of the Urantia Adam and Eve, who are now held on Edintia as wards of the Most Highs of Noralgiak. These children of Adam might so serve on Urantia in association with the Melchizedek sovereign, since they were deprived of procreative powers almost 37,000 years ago, at the time they gave up their material bodies on Urantia in preparation for transit to Edintia. This settled age continues on and on until every inhabited planet in the system attains the era of stabilization. And then, when the youngest world, the last to achieve light and life, has experienced such settledness for 1 millennium of system time, then the entire system enters the stabilized status, and the individualized worlds are ushered into the system epoch of the era of light and life. Section number 8. The second or system stage. When an entire system System Conclave, and this new administrative body, subject to the veto of the Constellation Fathers, is supreme in authority. On the headquarters world, and each planet sends its 10 representatives thereto. Courts are now established on the system capitals, and only appeals are taken to the universe headquarters. With the settling of the system of assigned sentinel, representative of the superuniverse supreme executive becomes the volunteer advisor to the system supreme court and actual presiding officer of the new legislative assembly. After the settling of an entire system in light and life, the system sovereigns will no more come and go. Such a sovereign remains perpetually at the head of his system. The assistant sovereigns continue to change as in former ages. During this epoch of stabilization, for the first time, Midsoniters come from the universe headquarters worlds of their sojourn to act as counselors to the legislative assemblies and advisors to the educational tribunals. These Midsoniters also carry on certain efforts to inculcate new moda meanings of supreme values into the teaching enterprises, which they sponsor jointly with the Finaliters. And what the material sons did for the mortal races biologically, the Midsonite creatures now do for these unified and glorified humans in the ever-advancing realms of philosophy and spiritualized thinking. On the inhabited worlds, the teacher sons become voluntary collaborators with the Finaliters, and these same teacher sons also accompany the Finaliters to the mansion worlds, when these spheres are no longer to be utilized as differential receiving worlds, after an entire system is settled in light and life. At least, this is true by the time the entire constellations has thus evolved. But there are no groups that far advanced in Nebadon. We are not permitted to reveal the nature of the work of the Finaliters who will supervise such rededicated mansion worlds. You have, however, been informed that there are throughout the universes various types of intelligent creatures who have not been portrayed in these narratives. And now, as the systems one by one become settled in light by virtue of the progress of their competent worlds, the time comes when the last system in a given constellation attains stabilization, and the universe administrators, the Master Sun, the Union of Days, and the bright and morning star arrive on the capital of the constellation to proclaim the Most Highs, the unqualified rulers of the newly perfected family of 100 settled systems of inhabited worlds. Section number 9. The third or constellation stage. The unification of a world constellation of settled systems is attended by new distributions of executive authority and additional readjustments of universe administration. This epoch witnesses advanced attainment on every inhabited world, but is particularly characterized by readjustments on the constellation headquarters, with marked modifications of relationships with both the system's supervision and the local universe government. During this age, many constellation and universe activities are transferred to the system capitals, and the representatives of the superuniverse assume new and more intimate relations with the planetary system and universe rulers. Concomitant with these new associations, certain superuniverse administrators establish themselves on the constellation capitals as volunteer advisors to the Most High Fathers. When a constellation is thus settled in light, the legislative functions ceases, and the House of System Sovereigns, presided over by the Most Highs, functions instead. Now, for the first time, such administrative groups deal directly with the superuniverse government and matters pertaining to Havona and Paradise relationships. Otherwise, The constellation remains related to the local universe as before. From stage to stage, in the settled life, this continues to administer to the constellation Morontia worlds. As the ages pass, the constellation fathers take over more and more of the detailed administrative or supervising functions, which were formerly centered on the universe headquarters. And by the attainment of this sixth stage of stabilization, these unified constellations will have reached the position of well-nigh complete autonomy. Entrance upon this seventh stage of settledness will no doubt witness the exaltation of these rulers to the true dignity signified by their names, the Most Highs. To all intents and purposes, the constellations will then deal directly with the super-universe rulers, while the local universe government will expand to grasp the responsibilities of new grand universe obligations. Now, I'm at section 10, the fourth or local universe stage. However, I'm going to take a pause right here so I can go grab some water. Hope y'all are having a good time. And aloha, Gabriel. And aloha, Christian. It is very hefty, Christian. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see. What else? Let's see. So we're on paper 55, the spheres of light and life. And I'm now on section 10, the fourth or local universe stage. All right. One moment. If y'all want to go ahead and catch up, do so. I'm going to go grab some water. Peace and blessings. All right, so I'm on section 10. Thank you for joining me. I hope you are all able to follow this. I know it's kind of a strange vocabulary and such, but I am on section 10, the fourth or local universe stage. When a universe becomes settled in light and life, it soon swings into the established super-universe circuits, and the Ancient of Days proclaims the establishment of the Supreme Council of Unlimited Authority. This new governing body consists of the 100 Faithful of Days, presided over by the Union of Days, and the first act of this Supreme Council is to acknowledge the continued sovereignty of the Master Creator Sun. The Universe Administration, as far as concerns Gabriel and the Father Melchizedek, is quite unchanged. This Council of Unlimited Authority is chiefly concerned with the new problems and the new conditions arising out of the advanced status of light and life. The Associate Inspector now mobilizes on all assigned sentinels to constitute the Stabilization Corps of the local universe, and asks the Father Melchizedek to share its supervision with him. And now, for the first time, a corps of the inspired Trinity spirits are assigned to the service of the Union of Days. The settling of an entire local universe in light and life inaugurates profound readjustments in the entire scheme of administration, from the individual inhabited worlds to the universe headquarters. New relationships extend down to the constellations and systems. The local universe mother spirit experiences new liaison relations with the master spirit of the super universe, and Gabriel establishes direct contact with the Ancient of Days to be effective when and as the Master Sun may be absent from the headquarters world. During this and subsequent ages, the magisterial sons continue to function as dispensational adjudicators, while 100 of these avonal sons of paradise constitute the new High Council of the Bright and Morning Star on the universe capital. Later on, and as requested by the system sovereigns, one of these magisterial sons will become the supreme counselor, stationed on the headquarter world of each local system until the 7th stage of unity is attained. During this epoch, the Trinity Teacher Sons are volunteer advisors, not only to the planetary sovereigns, but in groups of 3, they similarly serve the constellation fathers. And at last, these sons find their place in the local universe, for at this time they are removed from the jurisdiction of the local creation and are assigned to the service of the Supreme Council of Unlimited Authority. Let me turn these speakers here because I kind of want this music to be caught by this microphone. Come on, there we go. There. Are you guys picking up the music here? Let me see if I can turn it up a little bit. There. Aha. All right. So during this epoch, the Trinity Teacher Sons are volunteer advisors, not only to the planetary sovereigns, but in groups of 3, they similarly serve the constellation fathers. And at last, these sons find their place in the local universe, for at this time they are removed from the jurisdiction of the local creation and are assigned to the service of the Supreme Council of Unlimited Authority. The Finalitor Corps now, for the first time, acknowledges the jurisdiction of an extra paradise authority, the Supreme Council. Heretofore, the Finalitors have recognized no supervision this side of paradise. The creator sons of such settled universes spends much of their time on paradise and its associated worlds and in counseling the numerous Finalitor groups serving throughout the local creation. In this way, the man of Michael will find a fuller fraternity of association with the glorified Finalitor mortals. Speculation concerning the function of these creator sons in connection with the outer universes, now in process of preliminary assembly, is wholly futile. But we all engage in such postulations from time to time. On attaining this 4th stage of development, the creator sons becomes administratively free. The divine minister is progressively blending her ministry with that of the super universe master spirit and the infinite spirit. There seems to be evolving a new and sublime relationship between the creator sun, the creative spirit, and the evening stars, the teacher sons, and the ever-increasing Finalitor corpse. If Michael should ever leave Nebadon, then Gabriel would undoubtedly become chief administrator with the Father Melchizedek as his associate, and at the same time, new status would be imparted to all orders of permanent citizenship, such as material sons, Univitatia, Midsoniters, Susatia, and spirit-fused mortals. I love you, Eartha Dancer. And thanks for joining. This is such a strong and strange book to be reading here, but let me go ahead and continue because we're almost finished with this section here. But as long as evolution continues, the seraphim and the archangels will be required in universe administration duties. We are, however, satisfied regarding two features of our speculations. If the creator sons are destined to the outer universes, then the divine ministers will undoubtedly accompany them. We are equally sure that the Melchizedeks are to remain with the universes of their origin. We hold that the Melchizedeks are destined to play ever increasingly responsible parts in local universe government and administration. Section 11 here is called the minor and major sector stages. Loud and clear. Thank you, Christian Store. One second here. I need to do something. There we go. All right, 1 second here. Now let me go ahead and get back to here. Section number 11. Minor and major sectors of the super universe do not figure directly into the plan of being settled in light and life. Such an evolutionary progression pertains primarily to the local universe as a unit and concerns only components of a local universe. A super universe is settled in light and life when all of its component local universes are thus perfected. But not one of the 7 super universes has attained a level of progression even approaching this. The minor sector age. As far as observations can penetrate, the 5th or minor sector stage of civilization has exclusively to do with physical status and with the coordinate settling of one of the 100 associated local universes in the established circuits of the super universe. Apparently, none but the power centers and their associates are concerned in these realignments of the material created. The major sector age. The major sector age. Concerning the 6th stage, or major sector stabilization, we can only conjecture since none of us have actually witnessed such an event. Nevertheless, we can postulate much concerning the administrative and other readjustments which would probably accompany such an advanced status of inhabited worlds and their universe groupings. Since the minor sector status has to do with coordinate physical equilibrium, we infer that major sector unifications will be concerned with certain new and intellectual levels of attainment. Possibly some advanced achievements in the supreme realizations of cosmic wisdom. We arrive at conclusions regarding the readjustments which would probably attend the realization of hitherto unattained levels of evolutionary progress by observing the results of such achievements on the individual worlds and in the experiences of individual mortals living on these older and highly developed spheres. Let it be made clear that the administrative mechanisms and governmental techniques of a universe, or super universe, cannot in any manner limit or retard the evolutionary developments or spiritual progress of an individual inhabiting the planet or of any individual mortal on such a sphere. In some of the older universes, we find worlds settled in the 5th or 6th stages of light and life, even far extended into the 7th epoch, whose local systems are not yet settled in light. Younger planets may delay system unification, but this does not in the least handicap the progression of an older and advanced world. And neither can environmental limitations, even on an isolated world, thwart the personal attainment of the individual mortals, such as Jesus of Nazareth, as a man among men, personally achieved the status of light and life over 1900 years ago on Urantia, or Earth. It is by observing what takes place on long-settled worlds that we arrive at fairly reliable conclusions as to what will happen when a world super-universe is settled in light, even if we cannot safely postulate the event of the stabilization of the 7 super-universes. Section 12 is the 7th or super-universe stage. There we go. Oh, thank you, Christian Store. Enjoy your meeting, man. And thank you. I will continue. I kind of want to skip to the sections dealing on the Jesus papers, because that is a pretty cool section, actually. Because it talks about Jesus when he was living and what he went through from ages 25 to about the age of 33. And I read that section. It blew my mind. It was like, whoa, can't believe, because as we know, a lot of that stuff is not in the Bible. So we'll see. Matt Ticky, hey, aloha, brother. You need a library? Yeah. Oh, no, this is the library here in Xenia, Ohio. However, yes, let's pretend that this is my studio. Yay! Someday. All right. So let me go ahead and continue here. I think I'm almost finished with this section. Yeah, we're almost finished with paper 55. So if I want, I can skip over to the sections dealing with Jesus. But let me go ahead and... so we cannot positively forecast what will occur when a super universe becomes settled in light, because such an event has never factualized. From the teachings of the Melchizedeks, which have never been contradicted, we infer that sweeping changes would be made in the entire organization and administration of every unit of the creations of time and space, extending from the inhabited worlds to the super universe headquarters. It is generally believed that large numbers of the otherwise unattached creature trinitized suns are to be assembled on the headquarters and divisional capitals of the settled super universes. This may be in anticipation of the sometime arrival of outer spacers on their way into Havona in paradise, but we really do not know. If and when a super universe should be settled in light and life, we believe that the now advisory, unqualified supervisors of the Supreme would become the high administrative body on the headquarters world of the super universe. These are the personalities who are able to contact directly with the Absonite administrators, who will forthwith become active in the settling of the super universe. Although these unqualified supervisors have long functioned as advisors and counselors in advanced evolutionary units of creation, they do not assume administrative responsibilities until the authority of the Supreme Being becomes sovereign. The unqualified supervisors of the Supreme, who functions more extensively during this epoch, are not finite, absonite, ultimate, or infinite, but they are supremacy and only represent God the Supreme. They are the personalization of time-space supremacy and therefore do not function in Havona. They function only as supreme unifiers. They may possibly be involved in the technique of universe reflectivity, but we are not certain. none of us entertain a satisfactory concept of what will happen when the grand universe, the seven superuniverses as dependent on Havona, becomes entirely settled and light in life. That event will undoubtedly be the most profound occurrence in the annals of eternity since the appearance of the central universe. These are those who hold that the Supreme Being himself will emerge from the Havona mystery enshrouding his spirit person and will become residential on the headquarters of the seventh super universe as the almighty and experiential sovereign of the perfected creations of time and space. But we really do not know. And this section ends by saying that this was presented by a mighty messenger temporarily assigned to the Archangel Council on Urantia, or Earth. That concludes paper 55, The Spheres of Light and Life. I want to thank you all for joining me. Let me see what we can do for continuing the recording here. Now let's see. I think I may end this section in recording here and begin a new one for that paper. So I want to say blessings to each of you. Let's give thanks, love, light, and life to the Most High. And in the name of Jesus, I would like to proclaim that this reading has been tremendous. Thank you all for joining. Aho and aloha. Ending the live video.